All right, good afternoon, everybody. This is the Instagram Hockey Collectors Roundtable, episode 2. We had a great time last week. We've got almost everybody back, a couple people missing, and then, of course, Ryan has blessed us with his presence. He is here, the one and only Batnob Cursive. He doesn't have a bloody lip or anything either. He hasn't been in a fight like his character on Instagram, so happy to have you here, man. Welcome. And Cartel is back. Vinny is back. He just made it, and Jimmy is here as well. The guy that can find anything. So yeah, happy to have you guys back. How have you guys been enjoying the first couple weeks of the season? You feeling pretty good about hockey being back?
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's been so entertaining to watch, especially here in Ontario, Canada, where we're on lockdown. So that's pretty much. Oh yeah, you know, Ryan. But that's pretty much, sports is just it's so nice to have hockey back on, and there's so many good storylines, and it's so interesting. There's like all Canadian division.
Yeah.
It's been good hockey, and there's always games on, which is nice. So you just pop the tube on, and if you're doing something in the background, then the game's on. You can just hang out. It's nice.
Yeah, for sure. It's nice to see the players too getting their legs underneath them a bit, because you knew it was going to be pretty brutal hockey at first, like in 2012-13 when they came back from that lockout half season, and the first 15 games were pretty choppy, right? It looks like they're starting to get their feet and all that. So.
How about you guys, Cartel, Vinny? You guys, how you feeling about the season? How your team's doing?
It was a rough start on my end. I'm a big. I make no secret that I'm a big Blues fan, and I noticed they often play alongside the Leafs on the same night, and so I had a couple of rough nights. That one game where they decided to completely deflate their goaltending tandem, but thankfully Binnington, I think he's a mentally strong dude, so I still think he's going to have like a Vezina worthy season. That's what I was talking about before the season started. Leafs are doing that thing where they're playing all right, but every time you watch them, you're not watching a great hockey team, but they're doing all right. So
it's painful watching them.
Yeah, but other than that, we're seeing some interesting storylines. I don't think that the tippy top guys have like turned it on all the way yet, so that'll be interesting to see develop. It's interesting to see who's doing what they're doing in the meantime. Slow starts by some guys, fast starts. Obviously, Canadians fans are excited right now, as you can tell, with the money that's being exchanged.
Yeah.
Joke, man.
So yeah, it's been interesting.
Vinny, how is your assessment of our team? Because even though I'm wearing a Hurricanes jersey, thing looks awesome. A Penguins fan at heart. How are you? What's your assessment of how we're doing so far?
Well, the other night they won in a shootout. That was a good one. Gino started to turn it on in the third period. His legs are starting to get underneath him. When he turns it on and Sid's on, I think Brian Rust is very underappreciated.
Yeah,
I think he's a do-it-all kind of guy. It was like, I can't think of his name, Letestu. When Letestu was playing with Malkin, that kid could have been something else. I think he had chemistry with Malkin, and they traded him away. And I'm hoping Russ sticks around and he keeps that chemistry going. So, and then my Red Wings got lit up today. They got demolished. So.
Well, you have to admit, seeing Tristan Jarry get absolutely throttled and give up terrible goals against the Flyers back-to-back games.
Murray.
Yeah, no, hold on. Let me get to the good part about this. He stood on his head well against the Rangers. They were coming at him at the end of that game. He gave up a one bad one, a couple of not so tough goals, and then he shut him out in the shootout. So I thought that was great. We beat the Rangers in a shootout, and he got a win. So I think his confidence is certainly back. Casey DeSmith showed that he can, play decent if we need him. So of course, I don't know about you guys, man, but it has been a rough opening couple weeks for goaltenders, man. Some guys that Carter Hart, he's getting lit up. Igor
That's the Rust, right?
Yep.
Yeah, it is, and that just has got me thinking about like the hype. You know what I mean? Like the hype, like I was telling y'all in chat yesterday, the hype is too high on some of these goalies because they're only as good as their defense allows them to be at times. If your defense, like the Penguins, gives up a lot of good looks, the goalie's only going to be so good, and the Flyers' defense is awful too. So Carter Hart's been left out to dry. So does that mean he's a bad goaltender? I don't know. His numbers don't lie. His numbers are bad. But anyways, I think it's been tough for certain goaltenders, unless your name is Simon Varlamov. Three wins and 2 shutouts. Never saw that coming.
Yeah.
But it's been fun just to have hockey back. Obviously, the Hurricanes haven't played all week, so I've been a bit bummed about that. But
they do play today, don't they?
No, it's postponed today, so they're not playing until Tuesday.
Oh, Jesus.
Until Tuesday. Lightning, they get the Lightning. Their first game back in a week is against Tampa Bay, so I don't think that's going to go well.
At least they'll be well rested, right?
I hope so. But anyways, I thought.
Yeah.
Is Fournier still at 0 points and a negative, plus minus -2?
Yes.
Yeah.
He's on the first line though, and his coach is saying good things about him. I have him on one of my fantasy teams, and I just want to click the drop button so bad, but all it's going to take is one game. You guys know that. One game, and
he's overhyped. He's way overhyped.
It might take one season. I mean, look at Jack Hughes. I mean, we see that with first rounders in our game and in our hobby, and so it might take him a year for all we know.
Yeah.
Send him down, let him get some experience, and bring him back so he doesn't get mentally screwed up. That's my thing. Don't destroy the kid's brain first.
I don't think you could ever go back down to the Q though. The Q is such a high scoring league, right? Like the QMJHL, like he's dominated that. He's kind of in the in between, right?
Right.
You can't send him back down to the Q, and I don't think he can play in the AHL because of his age, right? He's too young. There's an age there, isn't there? If I'm correct. So he's stuck.
Oh,
so it's going to be a rough year for him.
Yeah. Knowing that.
Yeah.
Kind of want to make comparisons to that movie Goon. That guy that's super talented gets hit really hard. What the heck is his last name? It's similar to Lafreniere, isn't it?
It's very similar.
What's the dude's last name in that movie? Come on, somebody help me out.
French last name, is it not?
I know you guys know who I'm talking about.
Oh yeah.
I know what you're talking about. I just forgot his name.
Anyway, Cartel, without giving the plot away, really talented young player. Yeah, and he gets absolutely destroyed by this goon, like this bully defenseman, and he mentally just loses it. And he goes down to the minors and starts to figure his game out. But I feel like Lafreniere, man, he's kind of finding some similarities. Like he just can't get it to go. But again,
it's Laflamme.
Laflamme. See, I knew it was. Damn it, Laflamme.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's funny.
Does anybody know if he has done any work with Gary Roberts or anyone? They got to get these kids into the weight room and doing the work right away.
Oh yeah. I don't know. He would benefit from Gary Roberts. Gary Roberts is a good strength. He's a strength conditioning coach, right? And he does all that similar CrossFit and circuit training types. So yeah, he definitely would benefit from that. I mean, he's still 18, right? He's growing still technically, right? So I mean, there's a lot of pressure on these kids coming in at 18, and he's not a generational talent in my mind at all. Like he's going to be a good player. I don't think he's going to be anywhere near Crosby or McDavid, not even close. I mean, don't get me wrong. That's just my opinion on him. Like he's going to be a great player, but he's not taking the NHL by storm by any means, right? So.
We're really good at hyping guys up in the hockey market, man. Every year, and
it's as bad as baseball was.
Yeah.
Like back in the day with all the prospecting, right? Like all those prospectors, and if you go back over the years, you look at the graveyard of who was supposed to be this and that, right? Can't miss prospects. You hear all the time, right? 5-tool player. It's the same in hockey now.
Yeah. Last discussion last week, I mentioned look, to this day, there are people investing thousands right now in guys like Torkelson and Dominguez who are probably not even going to be playing next season. They go deep in baseball. They're doing some deep investing. I don't know if Upper Deck's going to start putting more emphasis on CHL stuff, and you can start doing it in hockey, but it's a dangerous game. It's a real dangerous game.
It is, and you got to think of baseball. How many levels do you have to climb from rookie ball, Class A, Class A advanced, Class A short season to AA, AAA, right? Like. The chances of you making it are so slim, so it's wild. I've been collecting baseball for years and years and years and watching prospecting come up it's wild now. Hockey's gone completely bananas. It's just another world out there now.
Well, we talked about too last week, Ryan, that and I think Cartel brought this up originally, and we just kind of bounced it off, and we're talking about it. Like we're seeing a major, and then Jimmy brought it up too. Is like a major correction in the hobby and in hockey especially. You know, we're seeing such a large price increase on a lot of these players. But if you look back, as I was reading to Jimmy before you guys got here, I was showing him some prices in the old 2003 Beckett, and like Marion Gabourik's rookies were like $300-400. You know, and Lafreniere is like
Danny Heatley.
And Heatley, yeah, Danny Heatley and Gaborik and Havlet. Even Yanni Herm's rookie was $100 in a set. So it's like, I think the hype has been there, but the popularity of hockey just dropped off completely off the face of the earth for so long. You know,
Yeah.
It was a lockout. It was a lockout.
Yeah.
04, 05, and also like like you're looking at those Pacific cards. Those short printing cards were big money. They were so like hot and popular. Like collectors talked about, they talked about them like crazy. The ones that were like short printed to the jersey number.
Oh yeah,
there was a
guy that had a 2 for a jersey number.
There was a Ty Conklin one. His jersey number was 1, and someone pulled the 1 of 1, and people were going crazy for it. But then once Pacific folded, then a lot of their cards went down in price considerably.
Oh yeah.
So I think that's a big part of it. And you guys agree? I think we're seeing a correction, but it's happening so quick. Yet the hype is higher than it's ever been. So it's like everything is it's like a perfect storm. And the first question I want to ask you guys, I know it's funny. We were joking that I'm going to scare everybody off because I had questions that nobody would be able to think about. So be careful here, Vinny. I'll try not to make you too nervous. But the first one was, I was thinking, even though the market is volatile, we can all agree, like, the market is almost unpredictable, right? With some of the prices we're seeing. Like, Nick Suzuki has increased by, like, 200% in 2 weeks.
It's been 1 week since someone DM'd me, and I put it on my story. They said, where's this card going to go? I said, 500 US. And then 3 people DM'd me and said, you're crazy. It's at 650 US.
It's like it's crazy, man. It's absolutely crazy. So my question though is, despite how that can get us a little riled up, in our conversations throughout the week on Instagram, so people, you guys are passionate collectors, and I love that. How are you still finding ways to enjoy this hobby? I know it's sometimes it's kind of easy to get caught up in the negativity of like, Jesus, I'm going to be priced out of everything, pretty soon. How are you guys finding ways to still enjoy yourselves in the hobby? Whoever wants to start, just go for it. I just was kind of curious. I think we're all different in that way, but maybe we're similar as well.
Hunting. That's all I do. I hunt. And with so many people coming online now, and there's so many people starting up websites now, it's just a matter of finding. I found stuff in Canada. I've never heard of these card stores, and they're coming online. And here in Ontario, I found a couple new ones I've never heard of, and I hunt a lot. So going through their inventory and all that, so a lot of people are slow, and I don't think they talk, or they're on Instagram or social media, some of these. So it's great finding these little places that are. So I found a place that's selling 9091 OPG Premier PSA 10s. They had like about 7 of them in stock, the ones I needed, and they were all these oddball like commons. So it was great. I was like, oh, this is fantastic. So that's what I'm doing.
Awesome. That is fun. That is fun. What about you guys?
Yeah, well, I've turned back the clock as well a bit myself, where once prices started skyrocketing on eBay, I was just like, I can't keep up with this. I was losing out like on everything I bid on. I was like, this is just going crazy, and I don't want to spend money just stupidly, right? Like it's none of us here are rich. You got to be smart with your money. So there's guys that I've been dealing with for years, like older guys that I just did business through email with. And, I started asking them, what do you got? You got more stuff? And I was giving them lists, and they're like, yeah, I got it. And then they started connecting me with other people. And now I have all these older guys that I'm dealing with pretty much just exclusively through email.
That's awesome.
And it's been a lot of fun because they're pretty much, these guys are like in their 60s, and they have friends who are 80 years old.
Yeah.
And they don't want their families don't want their collections. So they're pretty much coming to me saying, hey, will you buy this guy's collection off him? I'm like, sure. What's the price? So it's been really interesting because pretty much I'm just finding, whatever's coming my way. It could be, it's mainly hockey, but there's been basketball lately, baseball. It's a lot of fun, and
I know.
again, those are other markets that I want to, explore a little bit more into. Obviously, hockey being my forte.
Yeah.
But I think, like I messaged you, Matt. I said I have a guy. One of my guys messaged me and said I'm picking up a 10,000 card lot of 97, 98 Pacific parallels. He's like, I'm gonna send you details of what I'm
That's
getting.
crazy. I know. I still need to send you my list, don't I?
Yeah, I and
10,000 card lot of Pacific from 97, 98.
yes, 10,000. And this also, another guy in the summertime messaged me and said I just bought a full ice blue set of Pacific Dynagon and Paramount. And
Ooh,
he's like, I'm splitting it up. What players do you want? I was like, Gretzky, Wall, like I'm all
yeah,
the good ones.
cherry pick 'em.
And he sold me some crazy, like, for like silly prices. I was like, okay, because a lot of these guys are going by Beckett's, and they're not looking at what the market's doing because they don't really use eBay. They're all pretty much that old school where they're doing business through the mail or by phone.
That's really old school. That's cool.
I love it.
Yeah.
And it's so, like, they're telling me stories about, like, one guy told me a story about there was, I don't know if you guys know who Gracie Slick is.
Got me.
Okay, it's she was at like Woodstock in like the late '60s and early '70s, a musician, and he was just saying about partying with her and stuff. So it's kind of cool because he's telling me all these old stories. Like, I don't know who that is, and I'll go on YouTube and look up these like artists and stuff that he knows. And I was like, this is really fun. Like, I'm having a good time. Like, he tells me all these stories about the old days and stuff, and I'm like, oh, this is so much fun. Like, literally, I'm sitting here at night about to go to bed in my pajamas, reading his email and then messaging him back. It's like having a pen pal. It's really cool. It's been I've had a blast. It's so much fun.
That's
Yeah.
awesome, man.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, the hunt. There's something about the hunt, man. I think we could all agree with that. What about let's go to Cartel, and then Vinny can hop in and close it up for us. But Cartel, I mean, are you kind of in the same boat? Like, it's all about the hunt, or are you finding new ways to kind of enjoy the hobby?
I feel like I'm trying to find ways to not enjoy the hobby. I was telling on my podcast this weekend, I just thought, like, we talked about a lot of these elements are starting to become not so fun. You're getting priced out of a lot of stuff that you were looking at. Some of the stuff, like I said last week, I dragged my feet, and I think I deserve it because it is a market correction. But the other stuff is like doesn't really have a lot of logic behind it. So you're getting priced out. It's harder to find product to open. So like I mentioned to you guys, I'm going to open a box on ePack. It's so depressing. You're clicking a button instead of actually having the experience.
Yeah.
I knew Ryan would react to that.
Oh yeah.
But you know,
cards.
One of the things I always loved is organizing and just being surrounded by cards, putting them in piles, putting them in binders.
Yep.
I have a lot of pages left over because I put sets in binders. So when everyone was running around screaming about not having any supplies, I have tons of Ultra Pro pages. So those are getting filled up. I'm buying weird stuff on eBay. This is a 1970. This is a
That's a Tretchat, isn't it?
72 Tretchat.
Yeah.
And
Sick.
it's beautiful.
That's cool.
And
Yeah.
it's the only one of this series I've seen. I have no idea why it says Toronto on the back where I am, but it's Finnish. But
That's cool, man.
that's something that the guy had a crazy price on it. But when you talk to someone, get to know them,
Yes.
have a conversation,
Yes.
all of a sudden you're getting something at a reasonable price. So
Nice.
that's what it boils down to. I am pretty deep into the grading. So I get to go into my older stuff, take a look.
Yeah.
And that's a whole educational thing anyway, because you're going back, you're looking through things. I even whipped out an old Beckett from 2015. So I'm doing that sort of thing, and that's reminding me of what I really loved when I started collecting.
Yeah.
And then all the other peripheral stuff, all the stuff like the eBay stuff and that sort of thing is actually more stressful these days. But, you know, you still have to do it. You still have to get the in and out going, and trying to find ways to keep this positive and fun when it's becoming so cold and calculated, and so many people you meet online immediately start talking about the market aspect, and that's fine. I enjoy talking about it, but when it's all that's there, it's a little depressing.
I
So-
agree with you on that. And yeah, and I think Vinny, for you too. I mean, you collect a guy who has gained as much popularity as anybody in the hobby with Lemieux, and I know that can be frustrating for you and negative at times because his prices are so high. But focusing on the positive, which is like my big goal of 2021, is like, how are you still able to find the positive in that? Like, what are you enjoying about the hobby as well? Still.
So when you asked that question, I thought about the old Metallica song of Wolf and Man. I hunt, therefore I am. That's me, man. I hunt. It's like that other movie, the football movie with James Caan. Let's put everybody to sleep and go hunting, boys.
Oh yeah, right.
And
the program.
I went out. Yeah, the program. I went out yesterday. I had money with me. I should have took more, because I formed 2 or 3 relationships yesterday. Like I was telling you earlier, I was getting young guns. He's like, I don't want to sell this to you for $3, but I like you and I'm going to sell it to you for $3.
That's awesome.
Nice.
Just like Cartel said, though, man, like you build up a relationship with a person through messaging, or like, hey, can we chat on the phone, and look what could happen, you know?
Yeah. Like yesterday, my daughter had a scrimmage, so only one parent can go. My wife's the team manager, so she went. She dropped me off. I was there for 2.5 hours. I went through everything. Very basketball heavy, and people were complaining they were only selling like $2 or $3 grand worth of cards. I'm like, back in the day, that used to be a solid day, but they have so much into it that it's not a good day if they only sell $3 grand. They got to do $6 or $7 grand to get close to what they got in it.
That doesn't sound like fun at all.
Yeah, it's not fun. No. But I talked to this older gentleman. He's like, what do you want me to bring next time? I said, Wah, Tebow, Lemieux. I just started naming off guys. He goes, okay.
Nice.
So, I mean, that's the kind of things I do. I go out and I hunt. My dad hunts for me. He got 5 monster boxes for $10 at an auction. And it's just random stuff. There's cards from the 60s in there. They're beat up, but it's just cool. I went and he just stuck them in the back of my Explorer, and boom. He's like, here, go through these with C and see what you find.
That's cool.
And it's the hunt.
Yeah.
That's what keeps me going. Wax, if I could find wax cheap, I pull that. If I see something go for $20, as soon as I see it, I grab it because I know what it's worth. Anything, Star Wars cards. I grabbed a couple Star Wars cards the other day. I showed them yesterday on Instagram. Yeah. It's something different. Always keeps me going.
That's awesome.
Look out for the C3PO era card. I think it's like the 77 tops, green border. I showed it to Ryan. I don't know. I know this is supposed to be kids friendly or not, but there was a C3PO era card that basically had an inappropriate emphasis on his male anatomy. It was caught by tops pretty quickly, and that card is just very, very hot. It's like mine's a PSA 7. I paid $50 for it maybe, I don't know, 5 years ago, and now it's 4 times that. So it just
it gives a new meaning to when Han Solo called him Goldenrod.
There you go. Exactly.
Yeah, it's a good one.
Yeah.
Just for future reference, this channel hasn't been advertised to any of my students. Nobody knows that I have it. That's not an adult. So if you guys want to have a little bit more fun and be a bunch of dumb guys on here, I have no problem with that. So, yeah, no biggie. I know Ryan and I were talking about these. He's like, well, what if I want to chirp somebody? I'm like, just do it. It's more fun that way, right?
Yeah, it's about all we can do in this lockdown.
Oh gosh, I know you guys are probably going just as crazy as a lot of us were. I mean, especially living here where there's like nothing to do compared to being in the city. But I mean, I don't know. I think what's cool too, Vinny, is you've got C involved in your collecting. That's having like a child's view on collecting, because she doesn't care about the market. She doesn't care about any of getting to know anybody or like any sellers that are trying to swindle her. She doesn't know any of that stuff. She just is like, it's all about the cards, like when we were all kids. So that's got to help you at times maybe set the perspective, right?
Yeah, but she has the entrepreneurial mind. She's like, how many of these do we have? I'm like 6 or 7. She goes, we could sell a few and buy some more. And but that's how I grew up. When I used to listen to the dealers, They always say get duplicates, triplicates. Just
Right.
get a ton of them if you can, and then use them as card currency to get what you need.
I should do that.
Should have done that with Nick Suzuki, man. Too bad we weren't all talking like 2 months ago. We'd all be sitting on like 10 Suzukis each, be like, well.
Hey, it'll die off though. There'll be another guy. I mean, if you watch the hobby, what did we go through? We went through Michael Jordan and the Chicago Bulls and basketball cards, right? The Last Dance.
Mhm.
Then what did we go through? The Long Gone Summer, Sammy Sosa, Mark McGuire. Everything went through the roof, and then Junk Wax went crazy, right? What was next? Pokemon? What is Pokemon doing now? Like, nobody's talking about Pokemon anymore. And then Wayne Gretzky, right?
Or something, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Wayne Gretzky's rookie card sells for like crazy, and now Wayne Gretzky stuff is going through the roof, right? Lemieux,
Right.
I would watch Lemieux's because there is a PSA 10, I think, somewhere right now, and at auction I've seen floating around Instagram, and that Gem Mint 10 PSA, whatever goes, it's have fun collecting Lemieux. I collect Lemieux, so that'll be fun.
Yeah, it's been a thrill ride.
Yeah, I bet.
PSA 7 went from $105 last year to $500.
Exactly. Sorry, Jimmy, you're going to say something?
I was gonna say, oh, the Pokemon market's still insanely hot, but I think it's been hot for a long time, so it's not that big of a surprise.
Yeah.
But now people are like, oh, 80s baseball, it's hot.
For no
Hockey's
reason.
hot now, and and it's like if you look at Card Ladder, you should see all like I was looking at like basketball cards. Like there's like I think it's 92, 93, Shaquille O'Neal.
Yeah, the tops or whatever.
It's $30. I was like, what the heck? I bought a couple for like $1 because I just like Shaquille O'Neal, and now only $30 for that card. I was like, this is ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like, it's crazy. Just like, and people are just people are digging out these old cards. Yeah, 87 tops. I probably had like 187 tops Barry Bonds at one point.
I had a vending case. Like a couple of years, I bought a vending case out of Baseball Card Exchange down in they're down in the States. Anyways, it cost more to ship it. It was like $100 and something for like I don't know how many vending. You all know Topps vending, right? Those blue boxes. So I bought a case of that, and I have so many Barry Bonds rookies, and people now are like pumping this stuff like it's a good investment. I'm like, you guys are nuts. It's not an investment. There's so much of this stuff. People are using this to light fires in their backyard. I'm not even kidding you. 88 Topps I've seen burnt so many times on YouTube over the last like 20 years. It's insane.
People are starting to catch on to some of the shorter printed stuff, like the OPG versions and the Tiffany versions.
Yeah, early parallels and all that.
By the way, I finally started seeing people posting up graded stuff from 9091 Tiffany.
Nice.
Probably overlooked at this point. I saw this.
Yeah, I bought a bunch of that already.
Yeah.
Nice.
So.
Yeah, I bought a Lemieux Bowman Tiffany 9091 and his Topps 9091. I bought both Tiffany's for like $15 each. So like, it's just a matter of time before people catch on to the Tiffany. And a lot of people don't know those exist. Baseball, yes,
especially
but
for
hockey. Yeah, hockey is like I think they only did it, if I'm correct, maybe 9091. I'd have to look in the price guide. There's not much on them.
I think that might be it.
It is 9091 Bowman, 9091 Topps.
Yeah, because OPG I don't think has a Tiffany at all. It's only Topps, right? That's
correct.
There's a Gretzky from Bowman up right now. It's at 300 US with 3 days to go on PWCC.
Oh yeah, because you never see. I don't think I've ever seen a Gretzky Tiffany. Like for the star players, they're so tough to find. Like you don't see them, the Tiffany ones.
And I don't know if you guys are noticing PWCC right now is running auctions that I think when these are done next week, this is going to again reset the market because they have a lot of key 80s and PSA 8 and 9. They've got these Tiffany cards. This is going to definitely shift the market next week, by the way.
Yep.
Well, I know you guys are mentioning Jordan and Gretzky, but we're forgetting about one player who just like changed the market, and that's this guy right here. I've never been more disappointed in myself for spending $15 in my life. A, because he's a flyer, which should be against my my fandom to buy a flyer young gun. Second, he hasn't scored a point since then. And I was talking
the Kabalik effect.
Well,
last year, remember when hockey started up last year or in August? Dominic Kubalik from Chicago, the Blackhawks, had 5 points the first game back. I had a buddy that sold like 3 young guns that day. He's like, man,
that was explosive.
He's like, I tripled all of them. He sold for triple. I was like, and then what did he do? They bowed out and,
Right. Well, it's
wait.
It's
a waiting
one of those
game.
things, though. But but the thing is though, if you get in on something like that, and Farabee,
Yeah,
let's
do
say
it.
he does have 4 goals in a week, well then you look like you're smart. So you have to you're not going to win them all, when you're trying that. But it kind of was a nice reminder for me, like, okay, don't become that kind of collector. Like I did a couple of cards like that. I told you guys, like a Nylander and a Farabee, but I'm like, okay, just hold off. And of course, what did I do? Somebody had a hat trick today for the Blackhawks, rookie, first 3 goals in the NHL. He had a hat trick, and I was like, "Where's your young gun? He's going to be in Series 2." So
yeah, Mr. Pius Sutter, he scored. Yeah, don't even know who he is.
So like, dude, Series 2 is going to be crazy. Like if Sorokin ends up doing well, like, dude, it's going to be nuts.
What's that Russian guy on the Wild? Who's like laying it up right now?
Kaprizov, or he's the one that came over from the KHL.
That's the one, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
I feel like that's going to be a hot card in Series 2.
Dude, seriously.
And he's in a very remote collecting community too. Like he's very regional. Like Minnesota's like a huge hockey town, but they're not. The Wild isn't like, it's not a massively collected team, right? It's just like Line. Watch Line. I've already seen somebody post their Winnipeg Jets collection for Line. Like all of his cards, and they're like selling all these eventually. So watch Line's stuff probably dip too.
I hope not.
Oh yeah, his stuff will go down. He's going to Columbus. Columbus is like, it's not a hockey state, like.
But depends on how he does, though. If he goes there, a player moving to a new team and starts performing well, and they got a great defense. They got 2 great goaltenders. Can't argue that.
Somewhere Max Domi.
Yeah, well. Their offense is terrible, except yesterday it wasn't. So, it'll be interesting to see how he fits in there. I wouldn't imagine him. That's it. Kaprizov.
The biggest prices you've ever seen on Line A were happening yesterday. And people were asking me, should I sell? And I was saying, yeah, because of what Ryan mentioned, that I don't see the brightest future for those cards. And if you technically if you're being very investment minded in this, this is a huge spike on the chart. You should pay attention to it. But yeah, longer term, Columbus is not the market. So,
what is Columbus? Columbus is a football state. I mean, Ohio State plays there. Like think of all the teams that come out of Ohio. Columbus, Ohio, correct? That is right. Benny, you're the expert American. Yeah. So like, it's I don't know. He's going to purgatory basically, like Max Domi.
Anybody ever drive through Ohio?
Yes.
When you're going somewhere and like you have no signal anywhere, you're just in no man's land, and it's like a big.
That's funny.
My kid always says it's Ohio, the state that keeps me away from my grandfather because he's in Pennsylvania.
Just ask Joakim Noah what he thinks, how awesome Cleveland is. If you guys remember that interview, he's like, I don't remember anybody ever saying I want to go to Cleveland on vacation. Like he's just hating on it. But go ahead.
Yeah, there's cool places in Ohio, but there's a lot of good card shops in Ohio.
Oh yeah.
Dude,
probably a lot of undiscovered ones that aren't big.
Yeah. I got a lot of relatives in Ohio too, so I gotta watch what I dance around there.
How are you hating? I know for me, guys, I look at it like, when I was buying all those young guns, the Line A was around 50, and I'm thinking, well, yeah, I could get 20 more for it, but for me, it's more like I want to sit and just follow. It gives me a reason to follow how Patrick Line does. If I didn't have the card, I could give 2 craps. Like, whatever. You're not on my fantasy team. I don't care. So I think if it was like $100, then okay, then maybe it's a good idea to like, okay. But I think people need to also think about like, okay, just because like Nick Suzuki's market is super high, like there could be a higher ceiling, or maybe it comes down to earth. But like, don't be too quick at times to shoot stuff out unless you get like, if somebody offers like a ridiculous amount on a card, you can't just turn it down. Like you just can't. But one thing too, we talked about, things that keep us, enjoying the hobby. I don't know about you guys, but for me, being on Instagram, that whole community, as we talked about before, that is another bright spot for me, even when things are getting a bit negative. Not just chatting with you guys, but seeing people post like, oh, my dream card came in, and it's, a random card of some goalie that nobody collects. Like, that kind of stuff is cool. Like the Eric Fashad cards that have been posted. I mean, he's been posting these cards, been looking for this for years, finally found one.
He bought them for me. He's been buying most of them for me.
There you
the
go.
Dealer. Jimmy the dealer.
That's right. But I mean, that kind of stuff for me, I love seeing that because
Yeah.
that's what collecting is all about. At least to me, it still is. I don't know if you guys agree, but if Cartel finds this card, he's like, "Oh my gosh, I got it for the perfect price, got it for a steal." That is way better than somebody posting a Wayne Gretzky Crosby dual auto 101. Like that doesn't really do much for me. It's an expensive card. Yay.
Yeah, a lot of those big cards, they're cool to see.
Yeah.
But I mean, a lot of them you'll never see again. They get swallowed up into collections. Instagram's really good for that. It's literally like a digital card album. It's rad. But I mean, it's inspiring too. I find it very interesting. There's some, I follow a wide variety of accounts, especially guys with higher end stuff, like old baseball stuff that these guys have locked away in safes. It's wild seeing some of those collections pop up, especially those higher grade 52s and early tobacco cards that come out in 6s and 7s. It blows my mind that this stuff's out there. Like, absolutely blows my mind.
You know what's funny too with those accounts that have the like insane stuff.
Yeah.
Some of their following counts are pretty low.
Oh,
because
yeah.
there's like some people don't understand how rare or valuable it is, and it's a true collector.
Right.
Like
Yeah.
it's the accounts like 90s hockey cards. He has like 14K followers because he's posting like all that 90s stuff that everyone knows, everyone collected as a kid. It's like the people who do well on Instagram are the ones that can appeal to the majority. Yeah, and the nostalgia. I mean, you could post all these rare cards, and like when I post rare 90s stuff, I don't really get as much popularity as if I posted a 91, 92 Upper Deck Pablo Bure with rollerblades or whatever. Like everyone knows that card. But if you post a rare 90s card, like, well, what is this? No one knows.
Yeah.
Before, I know Cartel's only got a few minutes left, so I want to get to the. Yeah, it's okay. I want to get to a question here, Cartel. When you're on Instagram and you're kind of going through, maybe a new account pops up, or you find one that you didn't know about, or you're scrolling through, like, what types of accounts are the ones that you find yourself gravitating towards? Like, man, these are really cool. Like, those guys mentioned the old school baseball. What about you?
I'm into really weird stuff right now because I'm just being reminded of so much stuff, and I'm getting so much kind of reassurance of other stuff when people start popping in and posting the really weird stuff. That's what I'm really into right now, is the oddballs. People and those accounts can be very specific. I've always been a big pro wrestling fan, although I don't watch as much right now as I used to. Mm-hmm. And a lot of those accounts are popping up just because they love wrestling, and then sometimes you'll see cards, but it's starting to tap into all the other stuff that I like because collectibles in general are blowing up.
Yeah.
So you're starting to see a lot of cool stuff like that. Like Ryan mentioned, though, there are these accounts that are amazing, and there's an account I follow with less than 100 followers, and these guys just casually post videos of them opening 86, 87 Fleer boxes. And I don't know how it's not catching on. They don't know how to social media, I guess. But but I kind of like I like those little hidden gems. And they're not that concerned. And you know what? Look, there are guys with clearly they have a lot of money, and they're just getting into this. And like Chris Brown started breaking, which is hilarious. That's the guy we want representing the hobby, by the way, is Chris Brown. But these guys have a lot of money, and they're doing these crazy things that you can't see otherwise. Like I can't watch a random live break of 7980 Peachy or something like that. But some of the better accounts, they're not very well known.
Yeah,
they're people posting stuff. The top collectors that I know personally do not sell their stuff. They're almost like hoarders, and it's kind of cool, but it's also kind of sad that their stuff's always going to be in a closet. So if it comes out, they start posting it. That's cool because you're never going to see it on the market. The top collector I know personally, he just every once in a while he'll pull some stuff out. He's not on Instagram. He actually just like sends me pictures, and I'm like, cool. What are you gonna do with those? And he's like, I'm just dusting them off. They're going back in. I'm like, great. So, but thanks for showing me your 51, 52 complete set and your Gretzky's that you're never gonna sell.
Oh my god.
But there's also like, okay, when it comes to content, sorry if I take up too much time.
No, keep going.
Look, how did I even meet, Ryan, and how did I get onto his page? Because I saw something off the beaten path, but also that spoke to the soul of what we're doing here, if that makes sense. And there's also content creators that don't have the look. They're guys like Slabstocks, and these guys are all great. and everything, because I appreciate their passion, but they've got this capital that they were working with that started things with their graphic design and the way that they lay things out there on Twitter and all. I hate Twitter. They've got it all laid out like a business. It's great. Something a little cold about it, but then there are these guys who just, like myself, they'll turn on the video. I don't know if you guys know about this guy, Cardboard Ballers, and again, nothing to do with hockey. So. It's mostly basketball. The guy's unbelievably entertaining, man. He's yelling at you. He's swearing. He's got great perspective on stuff. That's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for amazing. And by the way, if I was going to post this story, like if I'm investing in Instagram accounts, like people are investing in cards, I have a list of like 5 guys that have around 1,500 followers that I know by the end of the year are going to explode to like 5,000. It's like the same way you're looking at a hockey card in terms of its value. I'm sure we all know about P. Ryan collection. He's someone who it just has a remarkable collection. That's how it started. So you're looking at his cool stuff. Then all of a sudden he starts posting videos and stories, and he's got a lot to say. He's got a lot of interesting stuff to say. He's talking about the legality of breakers. That's his number one topic right now, is really whether laws are being broken, the way that it's being presented and marketed. He's talking about attorney generals. This is really interesting stuff.
Got to get that link from you, or send that. Can you send over that profile account?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
That's interesting. I don't like breaking is not my thing. It's just bizarre. I think honestly, it's having a very bizarre effect on the hobby. Like, I don't know how much it's damaging prices, but you got to think of manufacturers are one day going to look and say that we can put it to set it to any price, because once people pool their money, it's like going into an investment, right? When you buy, like, people pool their money to start investment companies or whatever, it's the same idea, right? So people are going to sit there and you know, look at Bowman this year, $799 in Canada for a jumbo box of Bowman baseball for 2020. That was ridiculous. Like, you know, like what's the mark? Is that Jason Dominguez, or is that breakers, or what is it? What is increasing that?
Singularly, the reason why you're seeing the Donruss base basketball being solicited from Panini at $1,200 a box. Yeah. That's their base product. That's like Upper Deck Series 1, is it not? Actually, it might be Upper Deck MVP. But it's being solicited at $1,200 a box, and that is because of breakers. At the same time, without getting too deeply into it, because I'm time limited here, I think there's an importance for breaking right now in this lockdown era, because a lot of people don't have other options.
Right.
But there's people taking advantage of it. There's all sorts of sketchy stuff going on, and so there are these accounts that are central points where you can go to get that information and get into that discussion. What about Lameme James? Are you guys familiar with Lameme James? Okay, it might be a comedy. By the way, I've seen these accounts. Like P. Ryan went from like 1,000 followers to 4,000. Lameme went from 1,000 to like I don't know. He's over 10,000 right now. Yep. Even though it's a comedy account, if you really look at it, it's a hub for information.
It is.
And kind of the pulse of what's going on in certain sectors of the hobby. And he has
fake slabs and all that. He's really up on that, because I think card porn, I think that really small account, that guy is posting about these fake slabs rolling around. That's wild, you know.
Yeah, card porn was on top of that, to the level of, like, I was on that pretty early. I was trying to help people out, pointing things out, but card porn was on that to the level where they were reaching out to the companies and they were trying to do something about this.
Yeah.
And they posted the infamous reply from that Beckett guy. I know that guy. I've talked to that guy at Expos. No, Charles. Oh.
Yeah.
And just as a client, as a customer, disgusting. But anyway, I mean, those central points where people are gathering to get information and exchange ideas are pretty cool. So that keeps me in the Instagram game.
Yeah.
Interesting. A lot of good points. I mean, Ryan and Cartel, I think, and Jimmy, you three you're high on the followers list, so you have a lot of traffic coming through your pages, you know. And Vinny and myself are a bit newer, so we I think more looking for just like the personable relationships with our people that follow our page. But you know, for Jimmy and Ryan, I'm curious too. Like, I know Ryan, if he hears something controversial, he either post it on his story or like he's like, oh, I'm gonna go find that. But like Ryan and Jimmy, like, how do you guys find joy in the Instagram? Because Ryan, you and I talked about this the other day. We were kind of talking about, like, there's certain ones that just need to be gone. from your
Yeah.
feed, so the negativity is gone. I mean,
Oh yeah, there's a lot of complaining in the hobby. Holy crow! There's a lot of people I would never work with. Let's just put it that way.
That's funny.
You know,
That's
like
funny.
you can only take so much. But I mean, if you look at some of the stuff, I usually just post stuff, and I don't post to be naturally negative. I try to get conversation going. I want to see what people, because honestly, I do respect a lot of people's opinion to a certain degree until you foul that. So I'm always looking for something different. I want to see the other side because I can't think of every angle. And a lot of you guys I've talked to many times, and I'm like, geez, I didn't even see that. And no, and it's good. It humbles you, right? But there's a lot of like this magnitude of shadiness though in the hobby is unparalleled. Because if you grew up during the junk wax era as a kid and went to card shows, you saw a certain amount. Like I'm in my 40s now, and I a lot of what we are doing now because we're in our 40s. I had friends that their dads were getting into collecting in like 91, 90 and all that era, right? Like, and there were some really, and now everything's broadcast. You can catch anything. Information's right at your fingertips. Like I just seen a guy that supposedly it was on, I think Lamine James, I think it was. This guy actually claimed a damaged package, and he was trying to crack a PSA case to get the card out. Damaged the card, and then went back to the seller and said, "Hey, look, this came damaged in the mail. I'm going to initiate a refund." And I was reading this story on his storyline there in Instagram, and I was like, that's like, I don't know. It seems like if we can't get low, we're getting lower every day. Like we're just hitting. It's sad, and I hate to say it, but it is. It's bizarre.
Yeah.
Ryan, did you see that thing last week with the breaker who was breaking off camera and switching cards?
Wow, I heard.
There's no limit. There's no limit.
Yeah. You're really putting a lot of trust, right? You're putting a lot of trust into somebody on camera that you don't know. You're sending them money.
Oh,
they're
by the
opening packages, like boxes of cards.
I knew Ryan would get me going, but like, and again, a lot of these things, I'm the devil's advocate. I'm like, yeah, we need breakers to a degree because I want people to be able to get packs. Mind you, there's the whole issue of kids getting involved in what's essentially gambling. But what about sending your cards to someone who's going to go get them graded? I'm going to send you my Connor McDavid Young Gun. It's not serial numbered. This kind of breaks my brain. I know that there are a ton of trustworthy grading submission services. People always ask me why I avoid it. Number one, I enjoy the whole process myself. Number two, that just because of that, if I'm not sending you cards that aren't serially numbered or easily identifiable, I don't care who you are. I've had people come to me, they're like, "Yo, Cartel, we know you grade a lot. We'll give you this big deal. We live in Oakville. We're not far away from you." Dude, I'm not going to ship you my valuable cards and just assume that they're being taken care of.
Yeah.
I met you last week. I understand that you got these fancy graphics.
Yeah.
I'm not into it. It's too risky.
People used to ask that about third-party grading services, like when PSA was coming in and BGS. Yeah. How were these employees that are grading, not doing the old swap-a-rooney? You know what I mean? Right at the business. And I thought, holy geez, it took me years to get into grading. And in the early 2000s, I started grading. So now I feel comfortable sending my cards there, no problem. It's just getting it in the mail and getting there is my only real nightmare, right? So, like I don't know how why do people use third party? Like, why? Are you that, sorry to say it, are you that like busy in life that you can't? PSA is easy to submit to. It's the easiest thing in the world. BGS, I just did a 100 card order back in August with a buddy of mine. Yeah, the old hydraulic. It wasn't fun, but I mean, it wasn't hard. Like
it does take time. Like I said, I personally enjoy it, and if a buddy has one or two cards, I'm going to toss it in there for him.
Oh, for sure.
But the thing that's kind of I completely lost my train of thought here. But PSA, BGS, they've proven that you can trust them. But I completely lost my train of thought while Ryan was talking. I was thinking about the whole concept of like, why would someone use the third-party grading? Okay, so I remembered what I was going to say. Have you seen these stories? People are using these friggin' NASA telescope microscopes that they're going to use on your cards. I've never used more than an OttLight and my eyes, and I'm roughly 70 to 80% every time. I literally issued a challenge. Bring your friggin' microscope. God knows where you got this or how much it costs.
Yeah.
But it's the gimmickry is starting to attract people now. We're going to review your cards for you and assure the best grade.
Well, now you have grade the grader, right? I mean, you have these second, third, fourth party grading the grade, and it's like, where's it going to end? You know what I mean?
There's precedent for that in the coin and banknote world. I kind of am okay with that, but it's kind of ridiculous on the level of people making money on top of money and different levels of the grading game.
Welcome to capitalism, eh?
Crazy stuff. I'm out of here, guys. Thank you for the conversation. Ryan, good to see you finally.
Yeah, you too.
Jimmy, guys, smile. I will see you guys.
All right,
Peace.
next week.
Peace, Cartel.
Well,
have a good one, dude.
Yeah, have a good one, man. I do want to go to Jimmy and Vinny. I know you guys have been kind of waiting patiently here, which is a great conversation we got so far. I mean, Jimmy, you have a ton of traffic on your page, right? And you, again, we've kind of joked, but you are the guy that has been able to find cards, especially 90s cards, unearthed from like the depths of who knows where. I mean, where are you finding joy within Instagram? Like, what kind of accounts are you kind of looking for? Similar accounts of people posting cards like that, and then we'll get to Vinny after that.
Yeah, to be honest, Ryan, the reason I started following you, because I always felt like you were like that fish going the other way, like you're going against the stream, and I always liked that because you're playing the devil's advocate, where like everyone's going into these crazy trends. You're like, well, maybe think about that for a minute, and then I started following you, and I always look forward to your posts because it's always something different.
It's true.
And like again, there's so many pages out there that are exactly the same, so it's nice to have something a little bit different that will get you to start thinking in a different way. And I think that in the hobby, it's very important that you I don't know if you guys seen the Lego movie, but Emmett in the first one, he's basically that guy that's like doing everything society tells him to do. And in the card, like in the collecting world, in the hobby right now, you can't do that. You have to like think outside the box. You have to be creative because again, most of us collectors don't have these like amazingly deep pockets, especially for the most part, anyone on social media doesn't have these huge pockets. It's the normal average Joe guys who just love the hobby and love to talk to other collectors. And for me, my Instagram, that's all it is right now. Like I think my account grew because people messaged me and I would just chat. Like I just love talking about cards and like talking to other people and meeting people. And I think again, like there's a lot of people. Like for me, my interest is so broad. Like I love vintage stuff, but I love current. I love junk 90s. Like I like everything. So it's just I feel like I can definitely relate and connect to a lot of people, and I think that's really helped me to build a bit of a following.
Yeah,
that's awesome. Well, and Vinny, I know you've said this before too. You're like that, and like we all are. You're looking for those personal relationships with collectors, right? Those are the types of guys that you tend to find yourself gravitating toward, correct?
Yeah, I have like probably 150, 200 subscriber, follower type things on pause. I like to check them out before I go and do a follow or let them follow me. Mm-hmm. I don't want you to tell me about your breaks and all that. It's fine what you do. You do your thing, but I'm here for different things. But like that Lamine James, his stuff's great.
Yeah.
So he had a picture of the Grim Reaper going from door to door, and it was like soccer, Pokemon.
Yeah.
And the dude's right. I mean,
it is.
It's everything has its moment. I mean,
even more so now than ever, right?
Everything gets pumped, and then the Grim Reaper comes. It's like Suzuki. Is he gonna come knocking 2 weeks from now? Lafreniere, is it gonna happen? It's all speculative. I just collect. I just want to hang out with people that are cool and just collect. Or I got friends that are flippers. That's what they do. Yeah. But we still talk the hobby, and it is what it is. But I like that I can control Instagram. It's nice for me. And I could pick and choose. And like I've been on a hiatus for about, I think it was like 11 days. And then last night I posted like 8 things because I've been cleaning out this office. and
I saw that. I
doing
was
stuff.
like, oh,
and
Vinny's going all out. But that was good. That action packed, man. Those things are tough.
Ooh,
yeah,
That
those
was a
things.
nice card.
That one I picked up solid. That was a good pickup the other day. But
yeah,
I like that.
in a week, I've picked up 3 top 20 cards,
nice.
and I've cut my budget because of various things. But I'm watching. I went to that show yesterday. I was looking for everybody else. I had enough time, 2 hours to go through everything, and I picked up a stack of cards that to other people they have no idea and what they are. I mean, hockey has not been, other than the Future Watch and the Young Guns guy that was there. Other than him, the '90s stuff, the rookies from the '80s, they're like Brendan Shanahan for $4. All right.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I just went through boxes, and that's what I do. I like to hunt.
Yeah.
Were they the Tops versions or OPG?
Tops.
Yeah.
But you know what? Tops is catching on now, and
It is.
For the longest time you couldn't do anything with '80s Tops. But now, like, I have a guy from Idaho that sells me stuff that I sell for him, and he just keeps on selling me 84, 85 Tops, 81, 82 Top sets, and they're gone out the door so fast.
Yeah.
I mean, you could barely get anything for those. Like,
Yep.
84, 85 Tops Eiserman, you could get it for $5 to $8 Canadian forever, and now they're like $25 Canadian. So again, just I think people like the OPG recently has gone up so much that people are like, okay, like it looks exactly the same. I don't mind having Tops.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm the same way. I've grown to Tops, like warmed to Tops a bit.
Yeah,
Nice.
and they're nice cards, and some of the Tops quality is almost better than some of the OPG because the OPG has those rough cuts, and the Tops are so clean.
Yeah.
Some of them, yeah.
That little box was $90.91 Premier.
Yeah.
Nice.
And quarter 50 cents.
Jesus.
It's nuts, man. But I mean, go ahead, Vinny.
I'm just I'm gonna zig while others zag. I'm gonna do my thing.
You have to do that in today's market.
And it's like last night. I'm sitting there at 12:30. Somebody messaged me on eBay. I'd like to make you an offer. I'm like, I'm all ears. And it was a card that was $60. He offered to me for $25. I'm like, and it has a Mario piece of stick, and it has the O of Coho on it.
Oh wow!
And I'm like,
that's sick.
I'm on it. 30. I think it was 30. I'm like, I'm on it.
Yeah.
So those are the things I wait for. I wait for the deals to happen, and then I grab them.
Yeah.
I don't get ticked anymore. When I first started, I'm like, dang, I lost that auction. Now I'm like, I lost 15 auctions tonight. What can you do? It is what it is. I would rage buy. And then I just said, you know what? I'm going to get what I want from my collection. I'm going to try to get stuff that I think other people want. Like, if I know somebody's hunting for something, I'll grab it for them. And I'm perfectly happy doing that. That's my thing.
I do want to say that out of all the great qualities that this hockey community has, that it is still something that has still surprised me at times. Is, like at this point, I understand Jimmy is going to be somebody I'm going to get a message from that says, hey, I know you don't have this Tebow. Do you want it? But there's so many people that continue to do that, and we all are looking out for each other. Like, for instance, Ryan, I wouldn't know what to look out for because he's got everything. But if he were to say, though, like, I'm hunting for this card, that we're just going to all kind of keep an eye out for you, and I think that...
I spend way too much money on hockey cards and baseball cards. I have another account now for baseball strictly on Instagram. It's just started up, and I have so much. I have a room full of crap. So it's never ending. Like, I don't sell, right?
What's your handle for the baseball one?
Harry Cheaty. If you actually look up his name, so Harry and his last name is Chiti. If you actually look up that baseball player, he's got a unique story to him. So he was the first guy to ever be traded for himself. So
that's cool.
Is it like Harry _ Can you spell it out for me and I'll type it in?
Harry _Chiti.
And that's it. Harry Sheedy. Is that what I say? Okay. So this is your Instagram.
Should have a picture of Roger Maris in the account profile. So it's just like Jimmy was saying, man, the top stuff is it's just a matter of time before you got it. The only thing with Topps, though, when you're buying those sets, is you're getting less in the set, right, compared to the OPG,
Yeah.
unfortunately. But if you get the key rookies, like, I mean, if you get the Yzerman out of 84, 85, that's great, right? And I think, does the Neely come in there too? And the Gilmore, do they both have Topps? I can't remember. I know the Yzerman definitely does, because I think it's 192 or something, or 90 something in Topps.
I thought it was. It's either 132 or 162.
Okay, yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
And then it's 396 for usually for OPG in those
That's
sets.
correct. Yeah. That's
Yeah.
correct, yeah.
So it depends on what year. But yeah, that's good. It's nice to see people going in and finding these things, because it's back collecting. A lot of us are doing back collecting, and I've been doing it for years. When stuff gets so expensive when it first comes out, you just wait, and you hopefully it goes down, and a lot of it does. Like, just wait. Like this, what's that new one that's coming out for hockey?
Artifacts or Synergy?
No, those the big one that's coming out with the PMGs in it. What is it?
Metal.
Oh, metal.
Just wait for that. That thing's going to be like a house on fire, and then I guarantee you, within a couple of months, things will stabilize. You'll be able to get what you want. Maybe a couple months, maybe 6 months. Who knows? It's just a matter of waiting, right?
I'd like to publicly thank my wife for the 2 boxes she bought me at Christmas at pre-sale price.
Jeez,
Yeah.
dude.
Nice.
Because they went from 200 up to 300.
Jesus.
And then they said, well, we're going to give you a discount of 250. And then it went off the site because they sold out pre-sale. So
That's insane.
But it's like that everywhere, man. Like even freaking Formula One Topps Chrome is like 300 pre-sale for a box. We're talking Topps Chrome, okay? There's like 20 packs with 4 cards a pack of Formula One cards being sold
Yeah,
out. Like
I
was
didn't
like,
even know
what
that
is
existed.
happening? Yeah,
Like, that's wild.
like they're you can't find them anywhere. You know, like it's completely ridiculous.
I didn't even buy Series 1 Upper Deck this year, because I always do. Every year I buy a case. I didn't even touch it. There's no value in the case. Like, besides getting the Young Guns, last year I was 4 short of the set out of a case. I was like, nope, done. That's it for me. I didn't get the Jack Hughes at all. And I was like, every case I've ever bought, I've completed the set, Young Guns included, because you get roughly 72 per case, right? And it's just wild. Like, so that was it for me.
Well, it's again
Better to buy singles.
Exactly. I think that is where we're all going to find the most enjoyment in the market, because we've had to. And my friend Tyler, you know, I've interviewed him, and that was his favorite thing to do, was to open boxes.
Oh, it's great. I
And
love it.
It is. There's nothing that can replicate that. We can all agree upon that, but we are kind of being priced out of that. And my thought process is this. I won a couple of cards tonight that I'll talk about when they get here, but I could have spent that amount on 1 box of hockey cards or
With
2
no
boxes
guarantees.
of Upper Deck with no guarantees and got nothing out of it. And if boxes back in the day, if you look in the Beckett, even though that Marion Gaborik was $400, you could still get a box of that for like $100.
Yeah.
You know, but they're looking at these like the chase cards and pricing them accordingly.
Yeah,
on
it's
that.
gambling. It's just gambling through sports cards. That's all it is. You ever done scratch tickets? It's like the same thing.
I did one for
Yeah.
$5, and I was like, "Well, never doing that again." It was the biggest, like, stupidest
Yep.
waste of money. So I,
If you've opened some mid-range retail stuff, not retail, but hobby stuff, you know, like Premier and all that, not touching on the cup, like it's really hit to hit. Like I did triple threads baseball before,
oh, dude,
and I got some really good stuff, and then I was like, oh god, you get some, you feel deflated. You're like,
Yeah.
man, I just
You do.
sunk some serious money into that, and it's like being in a casino and losing money. I don't gamble, but I was like, man, like this is like gambling. It's been like this for almost 20 years now in the hobby. It's just it's worse now than ever, right?
Well, and that's the thing. Go get the cards that are really going to make you happy. If
Yeah.
a box is going to make you happy in that experience, trumps owning a really sweet card of a player that you love.
Yeah.
Then do that. But I don't think any of us would say that, you know, we'd rather have a box than a card that we love.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, Jimmy, I know you don't really buy a lot of boxes and things like that, but I mean, are you in agreement with that? Like, it's better to go out and just spend that same amount of money and grab like a collection to go through, or a card that you've been after, like a Jim Carrey, like that Jim Carrey you bought.
Or that
Yeah.
that Pavel Bure, just that is the Sixth Sense Master or whatever it
Dude.
was.
Wizard.
That's it.
Yeah,
Ooh.
dude, what a
Yeah.
pull, man! What a pull. That was
Yeah,
awesome.
it's funny. That actually came. A guy who I sell cards for sent me a bunch of boxes, and some of them didn't have the shrink wrap on it. So I was just selling single packs, and I
Right.
had three packs left. They hadn't sold in, I don't know, 2 months. So I was like, all right, for my Friday pack breaks, I'm going to open them. So I put it in my spreadsheet that I was going to pay him for it, opened it, pull out the beret. I was like, oh man, that's awesome. So I actually messaged him and said, man, I pulled this beret card out. It's worth some money. I feel like it's a gray area because, you know, I haven't paid you yet. But he's like, no, dude, like, I trust you, man. Like, it's your card. So it was really nice that he did that for me.
Sure.
But yeah, no, I mean, I don't usually pull very many good things, which is the reason I don't open a lot of boxes or packs.
Yeah.
So now for me, that's like kind of sentimental card, which is pretty cool. Number to 100, especially now people are like, oh, 100 is not a big deal, but in the 90s,
That
card
is
number
huge.
to 100, that's like one every couple cases probably.
Yeah.
So it was a pretty neat goal.
Maybe more.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And that's out of 96, 97 Upper Deck or 97, 98?
Mine was 97, 98. I do have some stuff in 96, 97 with the first jersey cards.
Yeah.
But yeah, for the most part, like boxes now are getting so expensive, and I love to crack, but you know, I'd rather spend the money on singles, to be honest.
Yeah.
And I have branched out a bit into doing breaks. It's not something I do like, you know, a lot, but I just did a case 12 tins of Upper Deck Series 1 because I wanted to open something. I thought it was fun.
Yeah.
And again, I got a good deal on it. So if it didn't sell, then I was like, well, I'll just sit on the tins. It doesn't matter. I'll just keep it sealed. Luckily, it sold out, but it's kind of cool because now I get to see, you know, the newer product being released firsthand.
Yeah.
Where I might even just try to do a couple boxes of every product that comes out, do a break of it, because it's good. It's good knowledge to see how things are packed, how it's distributed. Because now there's certain, like in the 90s, there's certain things I'm like, well, how is this card distributed? Is it really as rare as people thought? Like there's a 91, 92 Pro set, you know, the Patrick Roy mask card. Well, people have been claiming that there is an autographed version that they have pulled of the mask card. I'm like, I can't find it anywhere in Beckett. I can't find it anywhere. So I was like, are you pulling a fast one on me? So it doesn't seem legitimate. I actually want to buy, if I can find cases of 91, 92 Pro set for cheap, I would sit there and open like 10 cases just to see if it was true.
I don't think so, man.
Oh, man.
Somebody would have record of it by this point after all those years. I don't.
There's cards out there that nobody have seen. It's weird.
But I mean, like that beret, dude, that for you to pull that card, I mean, maybe 3 of those get listed a week, maybe less, that out of 100 version. And Carlos showed it off on his channel, this Medano. So to like see you actually pull one out of a pack, how many of those cards, guys, are still in packs?
Yeah.
Think about it.
Probably quite a bit, to be honest, because there is a lot of surprisingly sealed product out there. 90s boxes are getting tougher, like over the last 3 to 5 years to find them.
Yeah.
You know, it's getting a lot tougher, and now with this big boom, they're going to get even tougher. So again, I mean, personally, I don't have a lot of space for sealed boxes. At one point, I think I had over 100, and there's some rare boxes, but I ended up selling a lot, the rare ones, and cracking some. Just I don't have the space for them. You can kind of see that side. There's a bunch of sealed boxes there, but that's probably all I have left. You know, I might have like 30 boxes left. I just don't have the space for them. And again, now it's just like the way I look at the hobby is different. We're like, I love opening boxes, so like it's cool to sit there and look at it, but at the same time, like, let's open that. Like, let's see what's in there. Like, I have a 89, I think it's Don Ross. Yeah, 89 Don Ross baseball. And I was like, oh, I'd love to get the Griffey and get it graded. I don't even care if it's like an 8, 7, 9, whatever. Right. It just, you know, it's a memory. Is it because I pulled it and it's a memory of my childhood? Like I'd go to the flea market and buy junk wax baseball for like 5 packs for $1 when I was like all through high school. Like I love that stuff. It's fun.
Yeah.
Like,
and that stuff was so cheap. I was buying 89 Don Ross, like, I don't know, 2013. I was buying it for like $9 a box.
Yeah, I paid $5 for mine like 6 or 7 years ago.
That's crazy.
I will be cracking that one, but just I love 80s baseball, and it's kind of it sucks now that it's caught on where it's like it's hot. Like what was the year for the Ripken rookie for Fleer? Was that 81 or 82?
Yeah,
you used to be able to get a box of that for like $80 US all day, and now Baseball Card Exchange started like shrink wrapping them to like authenticate it.
Yeah.
And now I don't even know what they're going for, like $200, $300, $400.
Yeah.
80, even at something like 87 Fleer with the Ripken FF Air, you used to be able to find boxes all day of that for like $20 to $40 Canadian.
Yeah.
and now all that stuff, people want that stuff. Like
I have
I look,
87 and 88 Fleer upstairs, just
nice.
sitting on the shelf. I have so much stuff sitting. I won't open stuff, right? So
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
Dude,
yeah.
dude, I don't know how you do it, man. I mean, you and Vinny both. Vinny's got a box of something that I would literally.
I have
I'd
three
do
of
almost
the
anything
Series
for.
2 upper deck, like the 0506 with Ovechkin's rookie year. So I'm sitting on those. I bought 6 of them back last February, and I bought them for 145 a piece. And somebody caught on to my my musings and raised their price on the because as soon as the pandemic hit, his stuff started going up, and so I've got 3 left. I don't know. I'm probably gonna sell them all just to fund getting an actual. Because I don't have an
Right.
Ovechkin
Well,
young gun.
that makes sense. That makes perfect sense. And you know, Ryan, who's in the chat right now, Southern Card Collector, brought up a perfect point. And I know we all are in agreement to this, just like Jimmy was talking about earlier. If what you really love to collect is what's going to matter. Like when you sit back and you look at your collection, you're not going to go, "Wow, I just love all these cards that are going to make me money one day." I mean, eventually you got to say, "Okay, I really want something I love." Like a Marc-Andre Fleury Young Guns. That card, I love that so much, and I sold all my Ichiros for it because my Ichiros, I didn't even look at them. Like they're cool, but I don't really care. So you're talking about the same thing, dude. And I think even though this is kind of like a seller's market, you know, I
should sell everything. God, I make so much money.
I mean, anything that you don't love, yes, especially if there's a Jocelyn Tebow that you're sitting on that you don't love. No, I'm kidding. But seriously, I think that's something that don't lose sight of that. You know what I mean? I think it's so easy to get caught up in just the hype of the market, and you got to collect things that still make you happy. And you guys mentioned that on the chat. I think it was Ryan that mentioned it. Somebody said like it was just so much fun to look back and just enjoy what's there. You know, just like you said, you were going, Ryan. You said you were going through your cards, just going through all of them, and I think that's great to continue bringing that up. And I guess I brought that up because on my questions here, I had this in here, and I thought that anybody that watched this that's kind of new into collecting could heed our advice, you know, not with maybe, you know, how to sell or anything like that, but you know, right now we just get more and more people coming to the hockey market. I think they're looking at baseball. Basketball's like way up here, so let's not talk about that.
Basketball's untouchable now.
Like baseball and football, they're kind of hovering in the same range, and then you got hockey with their popularity still down here. Like people are making the transitions to hockey. We have somebody named Ty in here who has done that, but what advice would you give to these? Like, I'm gonna start with Vinny. Like, what advice would you give to a newer collector coming into hockey? How to enjoy it the most, rather than how to make money? Because let's not focus on that necessarily.
Don't start collecting cards. Watch the game. Love the game. If you don't love the game, don't get into it. I love hockey. I've watched hockey for 40 years of my life. I watched Eiserman get drafted, thought it was the best thing. Then Lemieux got drafted. I watched the hockey draft, even if they said, there's nobody good this year. Don't care. I watch it anyhow. I watched the baseball draft. I watched the football draft. I watched college basketball. That's what I'm into. If I collect people, Pete Alonso, I showed that Obsidian card the other night or last night. I don't care if people think his cards are going to tank. I like Pete Alonso. I'm going to buy his cards. I like Mario Lemieux. He just happens to be expensive, but that's my guy. And you know, an Eiserman. I got an Eiserman Mirror Gold the other day for $1.04.
Nice.
But to me, that's my other guy. I mean, my Eiserman collection's lacking, but to me, Lemieux and Eiserman are my guys. I enjoy it. I like Braden Point. I like Kirby Doc. I like the guys I like, and that's who I collect. I see a guy that I want to collect. I collect because I like him on the ice. I don't collect them because, you know. But if you want to start grabbing guys that you think you're gonna like, go ahead, do it. I'm not telling anybody how to collect, but for me, watching the game brought me into the cards. Just like baseball with my brothers, football, my other brother was a football guy. My other brother played baseball. It's what they did, and that's what they enjoyed. So they knew. My youngest brother could tell you anything about baseball you want to know. He's like a Encyclopedia Britannica of baseball, and that's what he loves. Nice. And you know, and I love baseball, but I'm not as versed as he is. But I know hockey.
Yeah.
Right.
and it's what brings me to the collection.
Like,
I collect the guys I like. I'll collect everybody. You know, if I get a card, but if like that Tebow, I was opening a couple random
That was so
packs I
cool.
bought, and C was with me, and she's like, "Hey, this is autographed," and I said, "What is it?" And it said Jocelyn Tebow. I said, "Well, that's going to Matt."
That's so
I'm
cool.
like, "What am I going to do with it?
That's so
It doesn't fit my collection."
Mm.
And I know he that's his guy. Why not?
And those are like limited to like 20 or something, dude. Like I was so
I
stoked.
want it back.
Yeah. That's what Nick's gonna say. He's like, Matt, can I get that Patrick Waddle Peachy rookie back from you? I went and looked up a 6.5 on just because I was like, nah, it can't be that much. It's gone up like $200. It's just insane. But I mean, I love what you're saying there. Love the game and collect the players you enjoy watching. And I know Jimmy. I mean, he talked about Jim Carrey. He's like the Jim Carrey guy, right? And are you the same way, Jimmy? Like, are you fueled by watching players succeed and then you want to go collect them? I mean, is that how it was when you were a kid? Because that's how it was for me. Like, if they
Oh,
looked
absolutely,
cool,
absolutely. Like when I was a kid, it was all about like kind of like the new and upcoming player.
Yep.
But again, if you're entering the hobby and you might be like a teenager or an adult, I know it can be difficult because you're like, oh, I'm watching. I love Ovechkin. I love Crosby, and it's that stuff's so expensive. But like something I did when because I was a big baseball collector at one point, got back into it, and for hockey, like I love collecting rookies. But baseball, you can't do vintage rookies. Like it's just you're priced out of the market.
Yep.
So like for me, I love the history of baseball, but I love like those oddball stories, like something like Ryan you mentioned with your account name. So again, I started learning about the history of baseball and be like, a guy like Eddie Geidel, like no one would know that name, but he pinch hit for the Browns. He was like under 4 feet tall. It was like a
You know
promotional.
exactly who you are talking about.
He was a promotional gimmick. Okay,
Yep.
does he have any cards? Yeah, Panini did a mini tall boy of him. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Who pitched to him? I think it was like Herb Kane. He's got any cards? Oh, a 53 Bowman. It's beautiful. I love it. And I think the catcher was Bill Swift. So I picked up these like 1950 Bowman's cards for like $1 or $2 each, and I have them all in my binder lined up all together. So like I love that kind of stuff. I love like errors, oddball stuff. Like I try to do something different because I'm like, oh, Mickey Mantle rookie card. Oh, 100K. I can't do that.
Yeah.
So it was just like instead of getting frustrated, it's like you find, okay, this is my budget. What can I do in that budget? What special project can I do? Like for me, like hockey, like one thing I love 90-91 tops. So when I was a college kid with no money, I was sending out letters, 80 a month to the players to get them to sign the cards. So 90-91 tops is like 396 cards. I think I have 250 of the cards signed.
Nice.
Not an expensive project. Another fun project when I didn't have money was I love like one game players or like guys who like didn't get a card but they're in the background. So like I have a one game goalie collection. I have cards put off to the side where guys got into games and like they're the backup goalie, never got into the game. Like 79-80 Rogi Vachon, OPG when he's on the wings. There's a guy in the background in a yellow helmet, and everyone's like, "Who is that?" And it's Jim Baxter. No one knows who that is. He got called up. He got called up for like I think 5 games. There's actually a backups only website where a guy literally put together it's amazing. A list of all these players that only ever got to back up in the NHL. And it's so cool. And he found actual articles from archives and posted them. And sure enough, there's one about Jim Baxter. I think it was like Jim Rutherford was a backup, and I think his sister passed away. So he is called from the Toledo Gold Diggers. Never got a card, but he's in the background of and you could see him pretty much fully, which was pretty cool. And there's a lot of other cool stories. There's a guy named Boris Rousin. He was really big in Europe, played for the Rangers, and I actually talked to him on Instagram. And he lived with Mike Richter when he was, I think John Van Beeswick was injured, and he was backing up for Mike Richter for a month, and he lived with Mike Richter. And he's like the nicest guy. He said it was just an amazing experience. He was just so happy to be there. But to me, like, I consider those guys NHLers. You were there, you skated with the team, you dressed, you bonded. I love those stories. Like as a kid, I was never into like, oh, let's find out about Wayne Gretzky's upbringing. No, I'd be like, oh, that guy like who like scratched and clawed his way to the NHL.
Yeah.
He's 34 years old. Yeah, he's 34 years old. how did he get there? Like, I love those stories. And
Yeah.
that was for me, it's like, okay, let's collect these guys. I don't care that it's not worth any money, but like to me, it's so cool because like in a sense, I like might be able to relate to them because I felt like in my life, anything that I've gotten, I've had to work so hard for, and I never really got that instant success like other people got. I really had to work for it.
Yeah.
So I could relate to those guys who got like, a cup of coffee. Like I could relate to that. Like for me, playing competitive growing up, we didn't have a lot of money, and I scratched and clawed my way in midget when I was 16 with a bunch of 17-year-olds. There was a team that was shorthanded, behavioral issues. I got 10 games in with them. I dressed for 10 games, and it was like so incredible. Like that was my dream. Like that was my dream. And I didn't like, again, as a kid, I dreamed of playing the NHL, but like I was like, I want to represent my town so bad. I got in 10 games.
Yeah.
And that means the world to me, like
That's
so
cool.
much. Yeah.
Well, I love that you're both talking about personal connections, whether it's with
Yeah.
watching the players or playing the game, and that's the way you collect. I mean, Ryan, are you kind of the same way too, dude? Are you? Did it all start with the love of the game, loving the game of hockey, and then collecting from there, or did you kind of find your
Well, mine
interest?
flip-flopped. Mine was like, as a kid, I didn't pay a lot of attention to sports when I was really young, like 5 and 6 and all that, but I had hockey cards, and then it just grew from there, right? So eventually it became that I came to love the sport, and I backtracked and was collecting at the same time, but it brings you both ways, right? If you collect, I find you're way closer to the sport than I think a lot of people, because you are kind of tracking it. Like, as much as a lot of us say, like, I don't care about value of the cards, in the back of my mind, I know what they're worth. I'm not stupid, right? I do track markets, and it's kind of funny. It's kind of interesting to see where some of my collection goes, and especially because I have such a fairly large collection that there's stuff that comes out of the woodwork, and I'm like, Jesus, I actually have that. Like, think of all the people that were scrambling to find Jordan Binghamton Young Guns when he started playing really well for the Blues. I mean, that guy got sent down to the ECHL, I believe. He almost hit like right down to the ECHL that year, and they brought him back up, or whatever that story was. Wild, eh? So that's the fun part for me. It's taking the value of it, of the card, and just canceling it out and just actually collecting. I only collect, so.
Right. And that is kind of an interesting question that I think everybody should ask themselves. Are you collecting because of what the thing is worth, or because of like dollar-wise, or what it's worth to you? Like, if you're collecting for what it's worth to you, I feel like you're going to get more out of collecting in general. I think.
Oh yeah, it's personal, right? For me, it's also nostalgic, right? Those years that I started collecting, there was no internet. I mean, there was nothing. There was no social media. There was nothing. So back in the 80s, like the mid 80s and all that, up until the junk wax era finally fizzled out, like, you had to go to card shows. You literally had to trade with friends. That's how the market worked. You went to card shows, you went to hobby shops, and that's how it works. So now it's wild. I mean, so many people are so fixated on a price, right? Like, so many people know the price of everything and the value of nothing, right? So for me, it's, and that's what makes it also so strange for me, is I have so much graded stuff, and I get stuff graded with no intention of selling it. And it wasn't until I came on your show and you're like, that's strange. I'm like, yeah, that is kind of strange, eh?
Well, I don't know if I said it was. Maybe I referred to it as it's unique in the sense that nobody does that. Everybody typically nowadays, because I mean, money is everything to everybody, right?
Yeah.
They grade to sell. Most people. So to hear you say that you grade to keep your cards, and I know we all like have our own preferences about slabs. I know Vinny and I prefer no slabs. I don't know about Jimmy, like, depending on if you're keeping a card, but unless it's like a vintage card like that Patrick Waugh, I can't really think of any card I want graded. But you like having it all graded. So
it's like being a curator. It's preserving history. It's preserving something, right? Yeah. They're little pieces of cardboard that can wither away. Like, trust me, like, these things aren't strong. Unless you have chrome, a lot of chrome stuff, which is very resilient to a lot of stuff I found out. But yeah, like, it's, I don't know, I preserve it. I like it that way. And it's, I don't know, they look good in slabs to me. So, and one day I will sell, probably. Way down the line, maybe I will. So it's all right there and easily accessible and available to just to shoot onto whatever eBay we have at the time, right? So.
Yeah.
I liked one thing that Jeremy on Sports Card Live said. Basically, you're the curator of your collection.
Yeah.
And it's funny when you think of it from that perspective. I feel like the way I looked at my collection is like, oh man, I gotta get this thing together a little better. But again, for me, I've started grading again, and I feel like in my collection, I've pretty much any of the cards that I've targeted, like for sentimental purposes, I have them all. And now the next step is like I want to get some of those cards graded.
Yeah.
I mean, like like I love Felix Potvin. The first card I ever pulled of him was a 92-93 OPG Premier, which is worth like 5 cents.
Yeah.
To be honest, but I'd love to have that in a PSA 10. Like that'd be so cool.
I buy a lot of cards like that. The cards that I really like that are worth absolutely nothing, but to me they're worth something. But I love them in a PSA slab or a BGS slab.
Oh, it looks beautiful, especially if you want to like display it or whatever.
That's
it
the
looks
OCD.
great. Yeah.
Exactly. I would do anything for a PSA or PSA 10 or BGS 9.5, BGS 10 of the Tebow Pinnacle rookie. That's my favorite Tebow card ever made because that was the first one my dad ever bought for me. How much is it worth?
Is it the black? Is it the black border?
Yes.
Oh man, I love the one, the score one with the blue border, where the camera's kind of looking down top and he's got the Belfour mask.
Yep.
I love that. I would get that card graded. Like that's my like earliest memories because we'd like be talking in the schoolyard. Like Tebow's in the NHL. He's 18, and at that time I might have been like 9 years old or 10.
Yeah.
And so you're like, oh man, he's like only like a few years older than us, and he's in the NHL. Like that was a cool memory to have.
Yeah. Definitely. But I mean that you know, that's what collecting is all about. That's why I like having these conversations because you can see, I'm sure you guys notice this. I had no intentions of talking about the market today. I mean, at least with my questions, but that's like the hot topic, man. It's like when you turn to the news, we're not going to talk about that, but there's the same thing on the news every single day because that's what people want to hear and talk about. I think it's good to be aware of it and speak about it because it's what people, you know, are curious about the most. Mm-hmm. But at the end of the day, man, these kind of stories about what really matter, you know, the cards in our collection, that's what it's about. That's what it's all about. And that's what you see on Instagram. That was what I was going to say. Like, when I was asking you guys about Instagram, I want to see that. I want to see Ryan post that Marc-Andre Fleury A because I think it looks awesome. Now I know about it. But B, where did Ryan get it? What are Ryan's thoughts about it? Maybe he shares something about SPX back in the day. Like those
completely
types
wrong
of things.
card, too. That was kind of a tick off when I got that. I looked at the label, the BGS label of the slab. It's for his SPX card for 0304.
Right.
It was actually from 0203. That's if you followed back then, that was the rookie redemption set. So they came out prior to the rookie year in 0203, and they had the RR serialized. I think his was RR22, and his SPX card, I think, is actually card number 22 from 0304, which the jersey autograph cards, right? So, I was like, I asked the guy, it's bizarre. I seeing more and more labels mislabeled now. Because of all the rush, I mean, these companies are under tremendous pressure to produce, right, and get cards out the door. So you see a lot more probably mislabeled cards out there.
Oh, for sure, and then you got to return them and whatnot. But yeah, those are the things that are the best. When I saw that card that Vinny posted, the metal card, is that the action pack one we guys were talking about?
So cool.
Wow. Like, not only have I never seen that, but he talks about where it came from and why it was a big deal and like the stories behind the cards. That is what it's all about.
And they never made that set either. Those are all samples, are they not promos? They're completely those cards.
Prototypes. It's a prototype.
Yeah, prototype.
It was never released. Yeah, it's beautiful. I love that card. But like for me, the reason I started my Instagram account wasn't to show off high-dollar cards. I just wanted to show off cards that meant something to me, that there was a story to go along with it.
Yeah, there it is.
There it is. It's
there's a Gretzky of that too. Oh man, it's a rad card.
That is awesome, dude.
It should say sampler prototype on the back, right? Prototype.
You can see it in the middle. It looks like it's like blurry.
Right across the middle
there, there's too much glare. Yeah, there you go.
Sample. Okay, cool.
The good doctor who's here, he has the Gretzky, the Iserman, and the Lemieux on Instagram. If you follow Doctor Exclusive, he has them all in 10s. They're beautiful. When I saw this pop up, I'm like, I got to get this, and this is top 20 on the list. I was there the day that the guy at the card shop had one of these, and I just looked at it and I said, one day I'll have that, but it took like 25 years, but I got it.
I think Action Pack 2 was football, was it not? Like,
strictly
football.
My brother had
football. And they did do a mainstream hockey set. It was like the cards would fold out into a big poster. There's a Van Beesbrook. There's an Iserman. They're actually pretty common. At first, I thought they were rare. I bought a Van Beesbrook for like $3, but then now they're everywhere. That was a mainstream set. I don't know how it was packaged. But there was like High Five, like all these like random companies that like had prototypes but never really had them mainstream released.
Yeah.
Those things are neat. They're fun to find, and sometimes you can get a deal on them, or sometimes they're expensive. If the guy knows about them, some people say, this is, I don't know this brand, $5 or whatever. Yeah. So I've got lucky in that way before.
That's so cool, man. Especially with all the '90s cards, I think we could agree. Like the stories behind some of these cards that you guys uncover is just I love going through Instagram and reading that. So if I was going to give any advice to anybody, especially that's starting an Instagram account, like Ryan and I have talked about this too. Some type of unique photography. Like putting the card over the jersey, or like something, like something that is eye appealing. But then talking about the card, picture. Make it a good picture, make it eye appealing, but then also talk about the card. Like this is no offense, because I get some people just this is what they're gonna do. But if you just put 2002, 2003 in the game Tebow jersey, boom, and I post it, that's like okay. Cool, whatever, move on. But if I talk about oh man, I love the way the mask looks here, and I've always wanted to find one, and I missed out on 4 in a row, and here it is. These cards are great. Limited to 50, didn't know that. Talking about the card. I love when people do that.
I love that. They're like, I lost this out on this for years, and one didn't show up for years. I love hearing those stories. One cool story I have about 93, 94 score. The first pack I ever opened as a kid, there was this cool gold line Andre Trefilov card, and he's doing the splits. It's a horizontal card. It was the coolest thing ever. I thought it was the best card ever. So fast forward 15, 20 years into the future, I'm playing pickup hockey, and a goalie comes out, and I look at his gear. I'm like, red gear. He had the Cooper helmet, everything. I was like, that's crazy. I was like, is this guy a Trefilov collector? So anyways, after the game, I go over. I see Trefilov embroidered into the pads, and I'm like, dude, are those Andre Trefilov's pads? He's like, yeah. He's like, I bought the full set from an auction. And he's like, I was like, do you like? He's like, I was like, do you like Trefilov? He's like, no, they're just cheap, and I needed goalie equipment.
That's
so literally the full set, he had the full gear on from that card. If I brought the card, I could have probably photo matched it. It was the coolest thing ever. The detail, it's awesome. Trefilov was embroidered into his glove. Everything was so cool. And getting to play pickup hockey against that all game, it was so cool, man. Especially because that was one of my favorite cards as a kid, and I got to shoot against a goalie who was wearing that equipment. So I thought that was pretty cool.
What'd you say his name was? Andre Trefilov?
Yeah, 93, 94 score, and it's the gold line version. He's doing the splits.
How do you spell his last name?
Trefilov.
Nice spelling bee.
Yeah.
Man, that's interesting. That is so cool, dude.
Do you see it?
No.
No, I don't see it listed unless I spelled it wrong.
Yeah, it's 93, 94 gold line Andre Trefilov.
Huh.
Okay.
I'll see if I can pull it up here.
Yeah,
that's wild.
Yeah, that's.
I'm sure no one listed it on eBay because it's probably worth 3 cents.
Oh yeah.
Oh, there's a Trefilov from.
Go to check out my cards. It's probably on there.
Right.
Yeah.
They seem to have everything these days.
That's super cool, man.
Oh yeah. A million Ziggy Palfy rookie cards from 91, 92 Upper Deck. It's so funny.
Dave's got all those, doesn't he? The Amish Dave collects Ziggy. It's funny.
He collects Ziggy, a Ziggy collector. That's awesome.
He collects everybody. Who doesn't he collect? That's what we always joke about him with. I mean, he's a Wah Berdua guy, but he's got a little bit of everybody for sure.
Okay.
Well, hey,
I don't know if you can see it. Hold on, where's my cam?
Can you turn it sideways for us?
I don't think it'll go. There you
go.
It's hard to see. Yeah, he's on the Flames. He's doing the splits. It's not going to get a good picture there, but I'll have to post it on my Instagram.
Yeah, do that. That'd be great.
But it's it's the coolest card. He's doing the splits. He's got the pads match. It's yellow, red. It's beautiful. It's a nice card. I actually want to get that copy graded. I don't care my kid copy. It's probably a PSA 2 or 3. I don't even care. I was just because the story to go along with it's so cool.
You just pumped the market, dude. That guy's cards are gonna go through the roof.
Yeah, that's right. That's what we should do at the very end of our show. Just all right, everybody name a player whose market's going to go up. Because Tebow, I've already taken care of that. Like, I feel like if I never posted a card of his in my entire
Anything
life,
vintage right now is going through the roof. 70s and 80s, good luck.
That's crazy, man. But
Yeah,
it was quite
Lemieux.
funny. What's that?
I said no one should collect Lemieux.
He
It's
wasn't very good.
It's a fool's errand.
Nah,
Stay away.
he
As
wasn't
I
that
lean
good.
back and
Well, his
As I lean
refractors. What's interesting is his reprints from the late to early 2000s. I think 2000, 2001. That top stuff.
Yep. It's going
Some of
crazy.
that. So that Blast from the Past set. I don't know if it's 99, 2000, or 98, 99 tops that sent out that Gretzky Chrome rookie card reprint, and then they had the refractor.
98, 99. 98,
Yeah.
99. It's
Blast
the
from the
OPG Chrome. OPG Chrome. That stuff, you can't find a box of that stuff.
Oh, yeah.
It's so,
It's wild.
it's
they're going
insane.
for $300 a box, $300 to $400.
If you
Yeah,
find them.
that's
If you
what you
find them. They
Well,
The
never
they're not-
Gretzky reprint of the rookie card is like on eBay now for thousands. I was talking to a guy that was selling it for like trying to get 1,200 for it. And I was like,
PSA 10 or raw.
it was raw. And I was like, holy crow. So I watched a BGS 9 of just the raw Chrome Gretzky reprint rookie card. It went for $450 in a BGS 9. It's wild. I was just, it's insane. So now I was looking at all these Lemieux because I have a ton of his reprint stuff because it's actually fun to collect, and actually trying to find the refractors to those is also so that's another area. Yeah, it's fun. I got a few of them.
I had the 91, 92 tops refractor one, and I sold it in the summer, and I think I got like $30 for it then.
Oh man.
Well, it's funny you guys mentioned that because remember that Patrick Waugh I told you guys. I think I was. I don't know if I was thinking I was just talking
The
to
rookie.
Ryan or maybe. Yeah. Well, I got the reprint refractor, and I
Yeah.
got it in a lot for like $20, and I thought it was the later one because there's two versions of that Waugh Peachy Chrome refractor reprint. Well, it ended up being the first one they did from the set you guys are talking about, and I didn't know. I was like, "This, how much is this worth?" So I put it for like $300. And like, we'll see what I get. I ended up selling it for like $175. I had no idea. I was like, what is happening here? Like, okay, I guess I'm going after the Young Gun set, and that card fueled my Young Guns.
So anything that reprint stuff is going like crazy. So there's a 2013 Bowman Chrome baseball. They have an insert set. It's all rookie reprints, and they're blue sapphire. And the Mike Trout out of that is like over $1,000. I can't find it anywhere to I was trying to complete the set a bit, but yeah, good luck on finding that card. It's a reprint of his 09, not his rookie card, but his Bowman first card. That one that sold for like 4 point something million or whatever it was.
Gosh.
It's wild.
Well, because they go to that, like, can't get the Patrick Waugh Chrome, so I'll go get the refractor because I like.
Which is cool. They're buying a legitimate reprint. These people manufacturing them are a whole different.
Let's not go down that path.
Oh, that's bizarre.
Crap.
Oh yeah.
Well, we're coming up on an hour and a half. I know that some people have kids to tend to, and some people have dogs to tend to, and some people have kids to prepare for tomorrow in their digital.
Packers game.
Well, yeah. See, I forgot that they were still playing. No, but that's cool, man. Yeah, so it's been, I think, a lot of fun, man. One thing that's been great about these 2 episodes we've been doing is how easy we just keep the conversation going. I would love for all 8 people to be here, hopefully in the future.
Oh yeah.
You guys can blame me for making an hour later. I know that was kind of last minute, but again, I didn't want you to see me just like completely defeated and sad and crying on camera if I didn't win one of those. So thankfully, we're not dealing with that. But yeah, excited for next week. We'll work on a time as far as getting everybody here, but we still have yet to have dollar rookies here, either at or not at the playground. And hopefully we'll get Pops back. Nick, if you're watching this, man, can't wait to have you back. Hope everything's going fine, and I know he's excited about the young talent on the Red Wings. So lots of good stuff to look forward to.
Just do a Topps finest refractor Detroit Red Wings exclusive special next week, and we'll get both of them for sure.
Yeah, let's bring on all our best Red Wing cards.
There you go. Well, I have like 2 that I can show, like our Young Guns. That's about it, because I refuse to go after their cards. Probably, because they beat us in the finals and then we beat them and the big rivals. But that's what I need back there. I need a picture of Fleury's like save against Lidstrom.
That diving, lunging save. Yeah.
How about when it's your 2 favorite teams are the Penguins and the Red Wings? Try living in that realm.
Yeah.
No thanks, man. No thanks.
Those are my teams. I can't help it.
Oh, that must have been tough.
Well,
I,
there's
yeah, my wife's a diehard Red Wings fan. She's got the winged wheel tattooed on her leg. I mean,
That's dedication.
she's
Yeah.
dedicated.
Yeah.
So
good luck with that when they play each other. That's not going to happen this year.
yeah,
unless
it
they get to
doesn't
the
work.
playoffs.
It doesn't work well in my household when that happens.
That's funny. Well, lots of games to look forward to today. I know the Penguins are playing. I just saw that Burakovsky's coming back for the Avalanche. The Leafs are playing.
I love
Yeah, the
the
Leafs are playing.
These guys are playing
They're actually
maybe
winning.
on Tuesday, so
Yeah.
hopefully a lot to look forward to. But we'll see you guys next week. Thank you for everybody that had joined us this week. Really enjoyed
Yeah,
it.
thanks for all the comments from all the people down there.
Thanks, guys. Thanks
Yeah.
for watching.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yep. We'll see you guys next week. Have
Cool.
a good
Right.
one.